What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we got a very interesting interview that actually just recently showed up here from Star Wars Theory. Actually, he brought it up yesterday in a live stream, and it was a very fascinating interview. And now everybody's talking about it because it was a very unknown interview from October, I believe. And someone sent it to him, and he made a whole stream about it. And I thought it was a very fascinating interview. I haven't watched the whole thing, but some of the things he says about Star Wars are very, very fascinating. This is one of the rare appearances of George Lucas after Disney now owns Star Wars. So this is kind of a cool sighting of George Lucas. He kind of talks about Star Wars and his movies rather than the new stuff, and he drops a very interesting statement here about the 42 and a half minute mark here. He gets a question from like a student in this live stream. It was actually a live stream about his wife, and he popped in and he started answering some questions, which he of course willingly let happen. But he started answering some questions and whatever else, and he answered some very cool and interesting things about Star Wars and his views on his creation rather than like the new stuff that Disney's been making. So let's go ahead and just pull up the big part of the interview that everyone's talking about. So
I've got you guys it's just amazing. But I got Jeremiah Camacho, one of our eighth graders, who has a question about Star Wars. So we'll go from the sublime to the sublime.
Cool background, Jeremiah.
Oh, thank you. My name is Jeremiah. I'm in the 7th grade, and I really like Star Wars. So my question for you is, the world has changed so much since the first Star Wars movie. How do you think the changes in the fights for racial justice will impact the Star Wars universe going forward?
I don't know. I mean, I've kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path than what I intended. But the first 6 are very much mine and my philosophy. And I think that philosophy...
most certainly. So this is, again, the biggest quote that everyone's cutting out of the interview. It's very fascinating to hear him say. I don't think he can say a whole lot. I'm sure he's under contract of some sort of contract of what he can say and what can't say, what he cannot say. But yeah, very interesting to hear George Lucas talk about the new movies and the sequels and whatever else Disney is now doing. Again, I like some of Disney Star Wars, and I also don't like some of Disney Star Wars. I don't like the sequels really at all. I mean, I enjoyed them when they were coming out. I even tried to tell myself that I liked the Rise of Skywalker when it first came out, and because I was kind of coping after The Last Jedi, and I realized all the issues of that movie. And that movie, the Rise of Skywalker, essentially tried to erase The Last Jedi, and that's all it was really doing. So I kind of didn't see past that, and I thought it was such a great movie because it fixed all the issues that The Last Jedi brought in. But in reality, it's not that great of a movie. I mean, it didn't really make much sense. They didn't really explain how Palpatine even came back. I mean, I know they did later in like a book, they explain how he was like a clone or whatever, but it was such a weird explanation. They never gave it in the movie. Like literally in the beginning of the movie, he comes in and suddenly Palpatine has returned. That's literally how they brought Palpatine back in. It was really weird. I haven't watched that movie now since the theaters. I'll probably watch them all again. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and completely like hate the movies nonstop. Like they're enjoyable if you just sit down and watch it, don't think much about it. But as Star Wars movies, they're the weakest ones of them all, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. There's something about them. They don't feel like, again, George's Star Wars. They don't feel like George's Star Wars. And it's quite obvious that he feels that way too. Again, he's not going to come out and say that these movies are not his, like, he hates these movies and he hates what they're doing. But because he's probably under like a contract or something. I don't even know how that all works. But I mean, this is pretty much all he can probably say. And I think we've all known probably how he feels a little bit because they kind of cut away from his vision. I heard that he had like layouts and plans for a sequel trilogy that he gave Disney, and they kind of just tossed it aside. So that kind of sucks. But in this interview here, you can kind of see how he feels. I mean, he says he kind of lost control of Star Wars now. It's because Disney bought it. Disney can go and do whatever they want to do with Star Wars. They did buy it. They do own Star Wars now, but that doesn't mean that they aren't disrespecting George Lucas and what his vision was. Because, I mean, you would think you would have a little bit of respect for the man who created, the franchise itself. He built this franchise, and he made it what it is. So I mean, it's kind of upsetting to see what they're doing, but there are some great things in Disney Star Wars. Like, I really enjoyed Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars. Now, most of the Clone Wars was actually under George Lucas and Dave Filoni before Disney bought it, but Dave Filoni went in and finished the series, and the last season was fantastic. That last arc was amazing. So there's some highlights. The Mandalorian is fantastic. I love that show. Now there's behind the scenes stuff that I've really not liked, with Gina Carano firing, different situations like that, but the content itself, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, they're doing a great job, and I am really looking forward to all the shows they are involved in. And I'm also looking forward to the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, because Deborah Chow, she did a really great job in The Mandalorian, and I think she'll do a great job with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm not too worried about that. Now, there's other shows I'm a little skeptical about, but again, at this point with Disney Star Wars, I'm pretty skeptical about most things until I see it, because I didn't like the sequels. You know, there's the High Republic stuff I'm not too interested in now, and yeah, it's kind of like a hit or miss with Disney Star Wars right now. But yeah, I just wanted to pull this interview up. It's very fascinating to see George Lucas talk about the sequels just a little bit, and then again, I'll link this video in the description. It's a very interesting interview. Some of the things he says about his movies, Star Wars, and you know how he views his world is very fascinating. George Lucas is really cool, and I really need to start watching more interviews with George Lucas, because yeah, he's got a very interesting, he just created such a fascinating world and a fascinating franchise, and it's kind of sad that you don't see him work. You don't have him working for Star Wars anymore, or working on really anything with Star Wars. I really wish they would bring him in to work on something with Star Wars, but I don't even know if he'd want to. I don't know if he'd want to work on any Star Wars now, considering, you know, where they've gone and everything. His vision, they've gone way past it now. But again, we have hope, like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. They're doing a great job so far. So there's hope for Star Wars. Obviously, it's not all, you know, dark and gloomy for Star Wars in the future, but there's been some dark, you know, there's been some bad things, you know, like very divisive movies and decisions that Kathleen Kennedy has made, and this is kind of where we're at. So we just gotta kind of wait to see what they're gonna do. But yeah, I'll put this video in the description of this video. Definitely go check it out, leave a like and everything for this Star Wars theory right here. Yeah, lots of love for George Lucas here in the comments. I mean, it's just great to see George talking about Star Wars again. This is very recent, of course. This is October of last year, so it's like 4 or 5 months ago maybe. So yeah, very cool to see that. And yeah, so this is after the sequels were all done, obviously, so it's not like a old video from like 2012 or 2013. This is very recent. So hope you guys found this video quite interesting, just as much as I did, and see you guys later.